This program will demonstrate how to solve a problem using a nested if. This nested if will be based on the content of one variable. So, our problem specification. Carlton Learning wants a program that displays the amount of money a company owes, that's our output, for a seminar. The fee per person is based on the number of people the company registered, and that amount is based on a chart down here. If the number of people registered is less than or equal to 0, the program should display an appropriate error message and end. So, we have to calculate total owed, and that's going to be based on the number of people registered. We have 3 different fees, so if 1 through 4 people are registered, we're going to charge $100 per person, 5 through 10, $80 per person, and 11 or more, $60 per person. So there's 3 different ways your fee can be calculated. But there's also a 4th thing that can happen if the number based on the number of people registered. If the number of people registered is less than or equal to 0, the program should display an appropriate error message and end. So we're going to use a nested if for this, and the outcome of the nested if is based on one variable, the number of people registered. Logic, if number registered is less than 0, display the message and exit. Number registered is between 1 and 4. Total owed is number registered times 100. If the number registered is between 5 and 10, number registered times 80, and if the number registered is greater than 10, the total owed is the number registered times 60. So 4 different things can happen: error message and exit, multiply by 100, multiply by 80, multiply by 60. 4 different things based on the contents of one variable, the number registered. So let's go down and look at the code. Number registered is going to be an integer. You can't have a half a person. Integer is appropriate. Total owed is going to be a double because it's a currency type formatting. Have our input and the number registered, and that's the only input we have. Then the output, we're going to use fixed and set precision to keep the output from going into scientific notation and to show 2 digits to the right of the decimal point, and then we'll display it as normal. Now the calculations. 2 different ways we can solve this nested if. Ideally, you should handle any error conditions first. So in both these examples, we're going to look at the number registered and say if it's less than or equal to 0. That's our error condition. If the number registered is less than or equal to 0, we are going to cout endl, blank line, the word's invalid data, 2 more endls, and then we're going to return 0, which ends the program. That part is exactly the same for both of these examples. Now the first one, we're using a compound conditional, which people sometimes find is easier when they're beginning programming. So we really spell it out here. So if this is not true, it's going to come down and check the second part here. So else if this isn't true, I'm going to look and see, is the number registered less than or equal to 1, and is the number registered greater than or equal to 4? If that's true, total owed is going to be number registered times 100. Else, it's only going to come down here if this is false and this is false. So else if the number registered is greater than or equal to 5 and the number registered is less than or equal to 10, total owed is going to be number registered times 80. Else if number registered is greater than 11, so if this is not true, this is not true, this is not true, Going to test one last time, and the total load in that case would be number registered times 60. Now the preferred method would be use a full nested if. You can see it's a little bit cleaner. There's not quite as much testing as there is over on the other side. Okay, so we handle our error condition first. And then we come down here and we say else if number registered is less than or equal to 4. Might seem like we're not really testing enough. Well, what if they entered 0? Well, if they entered 0, that was taken care of here, so we really don't have to check this bottom range like we did over here. We just check the top range. So if the number registered is less than or equal to 0, if they entered 0 or -5, this will occur here. It's a code that will occur, and then it's going to exit the structure, come down to the end of the structure. So this part will never be looked at if this part is true. So when it comes down here and checks this else, if the number registered is less than or equal to 4, the ones that are less than or equal to 0 are already gone. They've been processed. So if it's less than or equal to 4, we'll do this calculation. Else, if the first two aren't true, we can check and see if it's less than 10, again checking the higher end of this range. When you're checking the top of a range, you're going to use the less than condition. You can also do this looking at it kind of backwards. You could start from the top and say, is it greater than or equal to 11? And then go down and say, is it greater than or equal to 5? So you can pull it down that way too, and it's just a matter of personal preference. This last else is called our catch-all. I don't have an if with that because I really don't need an if. If it's not less than or equal to 10, less than or equal to 4, less than or equal to 11, or less than or equal to 0, the only thing that's left is 11 or more. So this on the right hand side would be the preferred method. Both will work. And if the compound conditional is easier for you in the beginning, that's just fine. I'm going to paste that one in here. And I'm going to take this code and put it into my program. So I have the basic shell of my program here. I included IO manip because I'm going to use set precision. Code in here, and with any luck it will run. Yes. Okay, so really you should test this with different data, something that'll meet each condition. So 0, invalid data, perfect. 1, 100, that would be correct. 5 should be times 80, so that is also correct. 10, also 80. 100, that's correct too. So you want to test with a lot of different data. Just because it works with one set of data does not mean that it's always correct. So that's our example that shows you how to use a nested if that looks at the contents of one variable. Remember, when you're solving these, what you want to do is, the if statement is almost like a little program in itself. You look at your potential outputs, figure out what they are, and then put the if structure around it.